And just a brief introduction to know where I'm coming from and what my interests and so on are. I have been working as an investment manager for 30 years and left the investment industry because we could not reconcile how it could be sustainable. My colleague and I, we left together. We spent a year reflecting about it and wrote a book called The Unsustainable Truth. And along the way, we realized that the essence of the problem we have with sustainability is we can't really accept is about respecting limits. So where does the information for this come from and what is it that we do? So for example, if we look at the moment in terms of our climate crisis, the UNFCCC, the United Nations framework for climate change, started in 1992 as a way by which governments can come together and work out how we can reduce and eventually stop the use of oil and gas and coal. 30 years later, we have increased their use every year. So it hasn't really worked. So that's one other thing. The other side of that is when we look at the information on renewable energy and on alternatives, we have massively expanded those. And if you take something like 2021, after we came out of the coronavirus pandemic, everyone celebrated that year as being the year where we introduced more renewables than ever before in really, really impressively large numbers. People started saying, this is good, this is going to be the point. But when you actually also look at the numbers, that year we increased energy use by so much, we effectively added a new India to the world. And 5/6 of that energy increase came from oil and gas and coal. So we celebrated, and this is the problem, is we were celebrating our victories. It's like playing a game of football and you score a goal and you're celebrating it, but you've just let in 5. And you're actually not talking about that. That's the problem. What can we do about it? So that then goes into what we are engaged with. We come from an investment background and we see the world through how economics and finance influences the decisions of policymakers and countries. And we see how businesses and financial interests try to direct the purchasing choices of all the people in the world so that they can actually make sure the economy continues, jobs are maintained, but in the same way, they also trap us in the same way. What we can recognize is that collectively, we have a lot of consumption power. In fact, it's the most powerful force in the world in terms of our economies and how we can make decisions in that way. It's like when you watch the World Cup and you're at the World Cup final and it's either Messi scoring or it's Mbappe scoring and the whole world's just cheering. And the financial and the business world is watching that and is recognizing huge amount of potential purchasing power here. That's why it's so important. So what we want to do is to go along and get people to realize that choice can be theirs if we collectively say we want to use our collective purchasing power to say if we want to have a limit to the constant expansion of oil, gas and coal or not. And that's what we are working towards. Thank you.
So what is the plan for your further research?
So the next step, obviously, so what we want to do immediately, as not so much the next step, is to test how much people are actually interested in genuinely saying we want a voice. And COP28 is coming up. COP is the Conference of Parties, is the major climate conference between all the governments where they make decisions over what we can do in our future. And this year is happening in the Middle East. It is in what I describe as the place with the best sustainability money can buy. Unfortunately, most of the world cannot buy. So it's a sustainability that's not actually affordable for many. It's going to be run by a national oil company. It's going to be chaired by the chairman of national oil company. And what we want to do is to take this as an opportunity to rally people around through events about nature, about our society, culture and community, about our well-being, very important, and the commons that we share. And also obviously about business economy and money, because that's important. But in things which are entertaining, art making, in things which are challenges like competitions and quizzes, in conversations and debates, and in activities that we might do, not to demonstrate that somehow we are good or better, but just that this is all part of our rich tapestry of the world, so that we can bring everybody together and don't feel that they have to pretend to be anything else. They can all come as who they are, post about what they do, hashtag it is for you, and also encourage universities, businesses, communities to seriously ask the question, if there was an opportunity for you to use your collective purchasing power to put a limit to oil and gas and coal, would you want that? And if you do, start hashtagging it's for you. So that's ITS, number 4, you. So very, very simple. So that's the immediate step. Obviously, the question is, suppose nobody turned up, what then? Okay. Well, in that case, what we are very focused on is that climate actions really need to help create livelihoods, because we are heading into a world that's increasingly difficult, the costs are going to be high, and people are going to start feeling a lot of that stress and anxiety around. And by being able to support each other and create livelihoods together, then you know you have at least a place for yourself, a place for the people you care for, and for communities that you're together with. And that's really, really important. If nobody turns up, there's still a lot that we need to do for myself and for the people I work with. But if lots of people turn up, what's the next step then? Is clearly to go to all the companies and say, people are interested. How about you helping to facilitate it? If you go to someone like IKEA and you think what IKEA is a company that tells people they can have a little bit of comfort in their homes. If they can open the conversation to people and say, let's talk about how we can use our collective consuming power, whether we can use it to put a limit onto this continual expansion of oil and gas and coal, it tells people they can still have their comforts. It's still safe to do so. Toyota is another company like that. It's the taxi that you take from the airport when you land from a trip. It tells you your world, your ordinary world, is always going to be working. If they can engage in that conversation, then that helps everybody to be able to engage with it. And don't forget, 2024 is an Olympic year. The essence of the Olympic spirit is to participate, not just to win. And so the next step is to help get everybody participating. And by bringing in the big businesses, by bringing in the communities, so that we can seriously say, okay, we are being serious. If we don't get progress, we will use our collective consumption power, because we can actually just buy out all the oil, gas and coal companies together.